So you guys had to do the evens for homework one night, so now you have to do the odds. Hopefully if you were able to do the evens, doing the odds shouldn't be too difficult. So for 1 and 3, we had to determine if this was a direct variation. Remember, if it's a direct variation, direct means divide. So when we divide, we should get the same thing every time. 2 divided by 1, 2. 4 divided by 2, 2. 6 divided by 3, 2. So I get the same thing every single time. So this is direct, and it's going to be x over y equals 2. 2 is my k, my constant of variation that I got every time. Coming down to example 3, 2/5 is just 2/5. That doesn't simplify. I'm sure you'll get a decimal if you put that in your calculator, probably 0.4. Okay, if we do 4/10, you can put that in your calculator and you can get 0.4. Or remember that 4/10, that simplifies to 2/5, which is the exact same thing that I had over there. For 6/15, 3 goes into both of those. 3 goes into there 2 times, 3 goes into there 5 times. That also simplifies to 2/5. So you get the same thing every time. So this is direct, and so your equation will be a over h is equal to 2/5. Or you can write 0.4 if you want. So both of those were direct. For 5 and 7, the instructions tell us that it's direct, and we need to find the missing value. All right, so just like before, instead of this question mark, I'm going to put in A. Okay, and let's see. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't see that there were 2 of them. I'll make that one A, and then I'll make that one B. So if it's direct, I know that if I do 3 over 1, that'll give me the same thing as if I do A over 5. Cross multiply, 15 is equal to A. So that's what goes here. Same thing for over here. If I do 3 over 1, that should be the same thing as if I do 27 over B. Cross multiply, 3b is equal to 27, or b is equal to 9. Let's see, here I'll put A, here I'll put B. They tell me it's direct. So, and you know, I just picked the first one because that's usually the easiest, but if you want to pick like 10 over 2 because that's right next to the one with the question mark, that's fine. You should get the same thing every single time because they tell you it's direct. So negative 5 over negative 1 equals A over negative 3. Cross multiply. Negative times negative, you get positive 15 is equal to negative A. So positive A is equal to negative 15. We'll do the same thing, but to find B. Negative 5 over negative 1 is equal to negative 25 over B. Cross multiply. Negative 5B is positive 25, or B is equal to negative 5. Okay, considering this paper is so smushed, you should be on scrap paper. All right, be on a separate piece of paper. Coming down here to 9, you definitely should be because you have to graph this. Okay, but remember to graph, you need to be y equals. So let's multiply both sides by x to get y by itself. And you get y equals x. When you graph that, that is going to be a line that has a slope of 1. And there's no plus anything here. So it's going to go through 0. Its y-intercept is 0. And then 11, the y is already by itself. And that is going to be a line with a slope of 3, because you have a 3 in front of this x. But it still has an intercept of 0, because there's plus nothing. Okay? Let me just check something right quick. The other day I made a video, and the sound didn't work. So I'm going to make sure that the sound is working right now before I go any further. Recording, microphone, we're blank. Okay, just cover my bases. So let's keep it trucking with the odds. Okay, and we had it in 12 last time when we figured out that this is always going to be a line. And then now in class we talked about functions. Will this always be a function? Well, we get y equals kx. And that's a line, right? So will it always be a function? Let's see. So if I put 1 in there, that's going to be a line that looks like this. If I put 2 in there for k, that's going to be, you know, it's got a bigger slope, so it's going to look like that. Right now, all of these are looking pretty good for being lines, but because they're always going to pass the vertical line test, right? But my question to you is, what if I put 0 in for k? Well, then I get y equals 0, and y equals 0 is a horizontal line. Oh, no, that still passes. So, yeah, I think we're good. This is always, always, always a function. We already did 14. Onto the odds. Now we're writing the equation. Perimeter, directly the length of the side. Perimeter varies directly as the side. Thumbs up. Resistance varies directly as length. Resistance, direct, length. Okay, that's a cursive L. I don't like using the other L's because those look like ones. Volume directly, now be careful, the cube of the radius. So volume varies directly, and then the cube of the radius is r cubed. 21, volume directly, now be careful, the absolute temperature. Volume directly, and then we have to do absolute value for T because it's the absolute temp. Velocity varies directly as the square root of the absolute temperature. Whew, okay. So this one's got a few parts. I'm coming over to the left because I don't want to smush too much with the last example. So velocity varies directly as the square root of the absolute temperature. So that one had a few pieces to it, equals K. For 25, you are graphing, okay, and to graph, we are going to multiply both sides by x squared to get y by itself. And that is a quadratic function. And here we learned about this today. Now we know that a domain means the x value. So I just want you to graph this on the x's that are between -2 and +2. And then it asks, what is this? The graph of a direct square. Well, if we look here, that is always going to have a square in it no matter what number we throw in for k. So that is always a parabola. Or you could say a quadratic. On to number 29. They tell me, okay, now this is different because here I'm solving. So y varies directly as x. So I'm going to have y directly x. And now it says when y is 50, x is 5. Okay, and now I'm looking for y when x is 10. All right, let's cross multiply. You get 500 equals 5y. So y is equal to 100. Beautiful. 31. D varies directly as the square of t. So that's going to be d over t squared. Okay? And when d is 24, when t is 2, now be careful, that's 2 squared. We want to find d when t is 5. So you're putting a 5 squared in that denominator. So we can do a little baby step. This is really 24 over 4, which equals d over 25. Cross multiply. 24 times 25 gives you 600 equals 4 times d. Divide by 4, you get 150. On to the next. X varies directly as y squared. So I'm going to come down here. X directly y squared. When x is 2, when y is 1, find x when y is 2. So you need to have 2 squared down there. So I'm getting, when I cross multiply, that's just x is equal to 8. There's your answer. So that was 33. For 35, now let's see. This doesn't actually use the word direct in it, but it's got a relationship going between hats and money. So let's set up a proportion. 5 hats was 60 bucks. I want to know how much 11 hats will cost. And you can use X, you can use C for cost, whatever you want. Okay, so cross multiply, you're going to get 5C is equal to 660 divided by 5. So $132. Are those expensive for hats? I don't know. I don't really wear hats. I'm not a hat person. All right. And last one, 37. Again, doesn't use the word direct, but if I look, it's relating miles and hours, and I want to know how far, so that's going to be miles and hours. So I've got 132 miles in 11 hours, and I want to know how far I can go in 38, I'll write 0.5 hours. Cross multiply, you get 11x is equal to 132 times 38.5. That's 5,082. Divide by 11. You get 462. So I can go 462 miles in 38 and a half hours. And boom, baby, I am donezo.